All right, what's good, everybody? It's your man Chris here. It has been a minute. It has been a long minute since you've seen me on this channel, since you've seen me doing live streams, and since you've seen my co-host over
What
here.
up? What up? What up? Good to see y'all, man. It is 11:44 on 12/12. So, hey, everything works in divine timing. We also have Mercury going into Sagittarius, 0 degrees, 56 minutes. Now, that might not mean a lot to a lot because they're like, what the hell are y'all talking about? But I myself, I'm a Virgo, right? My sun sign is Virgo. Chris, if I'm not mistaken, you're a Gemini, correct?
Yes.
So both of our ruling signs just went over from one sign to another. Interesting. It's also making a sextile to the moon. So,
Yep.
us doing the public broadcasting at the beginning of all this looked very quite interesting. Very quite interesting. But that's just something I'm just seeing just off the humble from looking at this clock.
Let me
Um, go ahead.
let me see if I can pull up the screen share so I can show the people the screen that we're looking at.
Okay.
Let's see. Share screen. You can keep on talking while I pull it up for them.
Oh, okay. Now there we go. All right. Let me pull up my screen so I can see your screen. Make sure it's um you're not an hour ahead, are you?
Um, Mm, it's this chart. Okay, this chart I have to set it. I have to change the local time zone and set everything because this chart doesn't even have houses. I just use this to look at the planets real quick.
Yeah, for
To get
sure.
a feel. Let me change it real quick. Let me put it. Let's put New York on the East Coast. Okay.
There you go. Now, before we get anywhere else, the math does matter. I want to continue to emphasize that this is not airy fairy, you're a Leo, so you like to show off kind of thing. This is science.
Right.
We're looking at celestial bodies and how they coalesce. Um, it's not just the stars. Everybody say, "Oh, it's a star." No, 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 no. I had something I want to talk about.
Hmm.
Had something I want to talk about. My mind. I love the way my mind works. I have a very, very interesting way of looking at things. I like it. It works out. So, I was on Facebook talking to a older guy that I grew up with, and he said something about astrology, about women in astrology and stuff like that, and all this other stuff. Where he's like, you can't. I wish I had it, but he basically said astrology is the devil, leave it in God's hands, da 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 da, and everything like that. You know how our stance is about ecclesiastical, things with astrology, right? You can't get out of Ecclesiastes, the actual chapter in the ecclesiastical text, right? Without looking at something astrological.
Mm.
So I don't want to argue with him. I did show him this book that I had called, oh, y'all can't see it, Astrology for Christians. Y'all won't be able to see it. It got
It's doing the blur effect.
yeah, but Astrology for Christians by Susan Steffen, right? I'm not gonna read through it right now, but it's very interesting how anti-intellectual um people could be when it comes to belief. It's important to have what you believe, but the problem with belief is that it obscures other things. Whole different conversation. In this interest, I bring it up because Pisces on the extended. But here's my mind went, right? Astrology is more than just our signs and our personalities. That's what I was getting to. That you can put water in the wrong person's hands, they can use it for evil. Right? It's not the body of knowledge. This is what I was saying to. It's not the body of knowledge that's evil. It's what people do with it. And you put anything in the wrong person's hands, it can get bad. Even the fingernail clippers. Put that in the wrong person's hands, you could do damage.
Yeah.
So, but when my mom went to, I was going to tell him, but I wasn't going to keep talking to him because he didn't want to talk. And I'm cool with that. I didn't want to alienate him. But how astrology was you like? No, I did say this to him. My apologies. I was like, you know, um, if astrology is evil, then calendars are evil. Then clocks are evil, right? We're looking at a gauge, a measure of time, of the measure of celestial bodies going over the this the sky, right? That's how we measure daytime. It's very interesting for the last few days. You look, the sun's been going down on what, like 4:45. The other day it went down at 4:44. You know, um, measure how much light we have in the day, and the way that stars affect us is that when we grow things. I was in the Sam's Club the other day, and the person who I was with drew attention to the fact that there's a flower that blooms during the winter time. Only time it grows during the winter time. So, what's this relationship that we have with the sun and these other celestial bodies over the span of time? Um, and then I saw a YouTube video that I took to ChatGPT. I'm gonna read y'all what I asked, right? Based off the video I saw. I saw a YouTube video that discussed how people that are born at certain times of the year have certain afflictions and certain benefits to their health. I recognize that nature has a pattern in how plants don't grow at certain times of the year, and animals have certain patterns at certain parts of the year, like hibernation, mating, and etc. What are some of the recognized patterns about human beings in regard to the conditions around their birth at times of the year and patterns in their life on the seasonal, annual, and or even developmental and certain milestones of their lives that are collectively observed? Right? That was a very scientific question. I did not mention astrology. Didn't mention no signs. Didn't mention anything. Biology, right? A little bit of psychology, physiology, right? ChatGPT kissed my ass a little bit. That's what ChatGPT too, right? So you asked, you made an insightful connection. Oh, thank you, ChatGPT. If plants, animals, and ecosystems show seasonal patterns, can humans also show measurable patterns related to circumstances around their birth? In bold, yes. There are recognizable effects called season of birth effects. New terms. All right. These patterns come from biology, ecology, developmental psychology. Let's stop right there. Let's cross reference. My old faithful regular book I like to read, The Nature of Astrology, History, Philosophy, and the Science of Self-Organizing Systems by Bruce Schofield. I encourage everybody to go get this book. Um this book is fire. I was gonna do my my thesis on this, but it wasn't gonna fly. I need to get money. I got the research, but the Papal Bull of 1586 by Sixtus V said, in regards to practicing the art of psychology, I'm sorry. Um, so let's backtrack. This is chapter 9, the Church, Society, and Astrology. In regards to practicing the art of astrology, diaries, and other divine things, the Holy Spirits laugh when astrologers declare the things that will happen in the future. In such future contingencies, inquisitive and random events prevent knowledge of the devil's operation to become involved in deception, taking men from the way of salvation into the snare of damnation. Astrologers adore worship. Astrologers adore and worship the sun and moon and all the stars of heaven by mistake. But are the stars mainly slavery? It has been decreed that the bishops of the Council of Trent have been prepared to act diligently in order to censor books of traditional astrology. But judgments and natural practices which work with navigation, agriculture, and medical assistance are permitted. We have received the authority and mandate against knowingly persons reading and retaining books on writing on astrology and divination, or in books which contain such things, and investigators will proceed freely and lawfully to punish and coerce them with worthy penalties. So if you wasn't a doctor, a farmer, a navigator, you was going to be cooked at that time. So what they said, they didn't say astrology didn't exist. They didn't say there was no science to it. They didn't say it didn't work. They just said if you do it like this, your ass is grass. You cook. So what they say about saying is it's not that astrology isn't real, that it doesn't work, that it's a myth, it's bullshit. They just sanctioned and legislated the use of it. Right? It's like how they do with weed laws. We ain't say you can't smoke, but if you can smoke, if you do smoke, you can only smoke inside. You can only smoke recreationally in these places, in these states, and it's medical. You can get a permit. So what are we saying, right? In the 1500s, right? So let's get back to this. These patterns come from biology, ecology, and developmental psychology. They don't predict destiny, but they show early environmental exposure shape health, personality, and behavior. What are we talking about? The environment. If you go outside, put your hand out and feel the sun, isn't that star or celestial body in your environment? You get sunburn, right? It could fade the colors of whatever if you leave it in the which color too long. When it moves, it impacts whether we see our shadows or not, or how much light we have. It affects us chemically, right? So these celestial bodies are in our environment. That sound crazy yet? That do sound crazy. Okay, cool. Let me make it make more sense. There's a feedback that we get with what's going on with these celestial bodies that emit light and where we are, right? There's a feedback. Shadows or the casting of shadows or whatever is a response to illumination, right? So it also impacts heat because light give off energy and it generates heat, right? That's how atoms do this atom things. I'm not a physicist or whatever, but all that to say is we have to challenge what is and what isn't considered our environment, like allergens and stuff, right? Some people are allergic to dogs. Some people are allergic to fruits, vegetables, and all that other stuff. That's in our environment, right? But I could go on and on and on and on and on, right? But one, season of birth effects in humans. Researchers have found that people born in particular seasons tend to have small but measurable, keyword measurable, differences in health and psychology due to environmental exposures, biological drivers. Factors that differ seasonally might influence a fetus or infant, maternal vitamin D, sunlight exposure. temperature and disease prevalence, food ability or diet variation, air pollution and allergens, seasonal hormones, melatonin and cortisol. Some observe correlations. People born in winter have a higher likelihood of depression, schizophrenia, irritable bowel issues. The possible cause is less prenatal light, low vitamin D, and winter infection. People born in the spring have a higher likelihood of allergies and autoimmune disorders. The possible cause is pollen and immune developmental timing. People born in the summer have a higher likelihood of nearsightedness or myopia and strong immune system. Possible cause, more light exposure in outdoor childhood. People born in autumn have a higher likelihood of longevity with fewer psychiatric disorders. The possible causes, strong prenatal nutrients, less infection exposure. And these are population trends, not individual predictions. So we're looking at the likeliness of things, right? We're looking at possibilities and we're looking at the potential of things, right? Let's see. Psychological and personality patterns. Seasonal birth can affect early brain development, circadian rhythm, and even temperament. Light exposure and mood. More light in infancy can influence serotonin levels, sleep cycles, such as melatonin rhythms and stress regulation. Research finding examples. Summer born infants tend to show higher positive affect or more sunny moods. Winter born children sometimes show more caution or sensitivity in environment. Spring born individuals have slightly ADHD statistics, possibly due to immune and allergy patterns. Again, no absolute, only statistical trends. And that's the thing I think that we have to emphasize, that we're not looking at absolute things, we're measuring the possibilities of things. We're looking at trends, we're looking at averages, right? We're looking at likeliness, looking at the combination of things. So, cultural and developmental seasonal effects. Beyond biology, school cutoff dates, which is on the calendar during the season, and cultural expectations shape life outcomes. School age advantage, relative age effect. I think that there was a Arthur, a psychologist who Malcolm Gladwell studied outliers, right? And one of the things he did is study trends in kids in school, especially people who play hockey as a sport. Children born just before school cutoff dates are often the youngest in class, more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD, and less likely to become sports leaders early on. Children who are older in their grade often excel athletically, have leadership advantages, develop more academic confidence, and this ripples into adulthood. Relative age in sports. Champions are disproportionately born just off cutoff dates, such as January through March in many systems. They start bigger, stronger, receive more coaching attention, which makes a compounded advantage. So life milestones and seasonal patterns. Humans not just at birth continue to show annual cycles. Seasonal patterns in human life. This is something I really wanted to learn when I was younger, and ChatGPT gave me the answer. In the domain of birth and fertility, seasonal patterns, conceptions often spike in winter. Ooh, cuffing season. More births in the late summer, right? Shout out to the Cancers, Leos, Virgos, and Libras, right? Because middle of the month, right? Mood and motivation. Many experience fall reset energy linked to reduced heat stress and new schedules. Diet and immune strength. In the winter, more infections and less vitamin D. In the summer, stronger immune activities. Physical performance. Peak athletic endurance in cooler seasons such as fall or spring. So I got a lot more. I did a lot more. I looked for articles about seasons of birth. I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 different ones that I need to get into and read. I had a lot more here, but I'm not going to monopolize and go on much of a tangent. Hey, yo, Chris, give me some feedback on some things that I said. Did you learn anything new? Did you find something interesting you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I could give you some feedback. Starting with probability and my take on probability and chances. When it comes to astrology, when you get into really looking at how astrology works and how to break things down, most people know their sun sign or their star sign. That's the most basic thing people know. And then you get into it and people tell you, oh, I know about, my moon sign too. Maybe they'll tell you about their Mars sign if you're lucky. After that, you get into what I call intermediate level astrology. Now you're looking at this wheel that you see on my screen. Now you're like, oh, I know about the houses, and I know about the signs, and I know about the planets. That's where most people stop. And for 99% of astrology, you can get away with just that alone. Just knowing the wheel that you see right here, you can get away with doing that alone. But when we're
Now you're
talking about
professional.
and when it comes to its probability, and why I say probability, as much as this wheel will tell you about yourself, it's only giving you potentially what it says about yourself. Like, and another thing, going back to another thing John was talking about earlier, the Bible, and what that guy he was talking to, that guy was saying about the Bible and in the book of Ecclesiastes. When it comes to the Bible, oh, I need to have my verses off the top of my head. I'm going somewhere with this. Give me a second. But there's a verse in the Bible that says the heavens declare the glory of God. When you're talking about astrology, in the terms of probability and in terms of God, you got to put things into perspective. Let me break this down. We all know that this universe where we live in, this world that we live in, has been designed by a creator. There's some intelligence to this design. We have enough cognitive sense in our minds to be able to tell, you know what? There's some rules to whatever this is. I'll just say it like that. There's some rules. But just because we can tell there's some rules doesn't mean we can guess things with 100% accuracy. Let me give an example. Pisces, right? Pisces is a sign that points towards forgetting things. It could be that doesn't mean if you are Pisces. I'm not saying if you yourself are Pisces, this is you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about the sign of Pisces, not the person who's a Pisces. The sign of Pisces can point towards making a mistake or forgetting from time to time. It is already in the chart that people can make mistakes. It's already in the chart that people can forget. You're not going to get everything right 100% of the time. You're not going to predict everything 100% of the time correctly. There's a chance, there's a chance that, if you're thinking about, oh, I want to have a good day today. You're looking for Jupiter. You want to have a good day, Jupiter. Jupiter is doing good, but Jupiter is also excess, having too much. If you want to go to a party with your friends, get a little bit drunk, it's okay to get tipsy. That's a good feeling. Excess, now you're getting drunk, which can also be Jupiter. You also getting drunk. That's not a good thing. But you got to be aware of, not to get too long winded, but you got to be aware of this science, and science in general is about finding patterns, finding instances in your environment, in your habitat, in yourself, in your family, in your work environment, in your society. It's about being aware of all these individual factors and coming to understand the science allows us to have a glimpse, a window, a bird's eye view into what can potentially happen. It doesn't matter how much information you have with the astrology or in masonry, gematria, name any divine science you want to talk about. You will never have 100% of the answer. These are all things that help us, give us an edge. If you know about gambling, if you know about anything uh betting related, the house always has the advantage. You want to be in a type of scenario where most of the time, 95% of the time, 90% of the time, things go in a favor you want it to. Or even better, you could just say, I can tell XYZ is going to happen. Because if you can tell a storm is coming your way, you can't stop a storm, but you can put on a jacket, you can put on your rain hoodie, you can get an umbrella.
You could
Because
take your
that in,
suede shoes inside the house.
you could take your swimsuits around the house, you could put on your rain boots. Because why? You looked at all the probability, you had the advantage, and you made an expert call.
I
You want
think
to. Mm-hmm.
my, I think people mistake what we have and what we're studying and what it was actually utilized for. Was it just to utilize, who who you could be attracted to and what personalities and stuff like that. People used it to be able to make peace with their environment. This was something that was engineered by nomads who had to travel and pick up their camp and keep dipping and moving when they had jaguars and little scorpions and wild undomesticated animals that were nocturnal and diurnal. You got daytime un unruly animals and stuff. They have their seasons. Like there's parts of the months where, at least where I live, where there's a whole bunch of deers that go around and run in the middle of the street and they're frolicking around and stuff like that. And when you don't have, we take modernity for granted, so much for granted. You got street lights and sidewalks and curbs and roofs and drywall and all this stuff. All this shit go to shit for 2 3 weeks, and electricity and stuff like that. You still gotta move around, and if you're not even up into like what's going on with the tides, how you gonna fish? If you're a carnivore, 'cause some people are pescatarians. Some people, even if you're a herbivore, how you gonna know it's the best time to make food and keep things going and keep a pattern to make sure you eat it? When you go from one climate to the other, are you aware of what it looked like when you start getting closer to a place where there's a whole bunch of birds? They just sitting around. What type of birds they are? You end up having nothing but bread or something like that. You don't know what season you're in for when you're traveling, right? I think people, because it's been reintroduced as, well, I'm a Gemini, so I can't stop talking, or I'm a Cancer, I love hard. We're truly mistaken with this, what, 30 40,000 year science or more. We mistake what we have. I didn't mean to deviate too much from what you were saying, but I had to put that out there.
Nah, I say that. That's extremely important because that does actually go back to my point too. When it comes towards having that advantage, everybody wants an advantage. Everybody wants to have an advantage. Nobody in their, let me say it this way, right mind, somebody with a proper train of thinking is going to say, I wouldn't want something that's going to benefit me long term. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. And when you think about it, here's how I like to think about making sense of everything. The world you living up to this point, I'll make it clear for you, isn't a lie. You haven't been lied to your entire life. Things that you've seen, and the way that you perceive the world to be working, for the most part, you got it correct. But we were trying to get you to see this too. If you apply the logic, or if you apply your way of living that you living right now with the astrology on top of it, it just opens the world to you in not in a way that just helps you to not only better understand yourself, people around you, and just move better in general. It's like the one thing I can tell you is once you get into astrology, you will never unsee it once you get into it. Even if you don't touch it ever again, it affects your mind in a certain way that you will just see things different. You will just have a better, I'll just say it this way, a better perspective
A better
on,
relationship with nature.
yeah, with nature, yourself, how you carry. You'll just, it's like, it's not like you're blind. How do I explain it? It's like,
It's a level of ignorance because we be
mhm,
forgetting that we're dead ass butt naked in the middle of nature. We're part of nature. We're within this confines of nature. And that because I believe because we think we have windows and drywall and AC and electric that we're not in nature no more. That we are in some type of social construct matrix, but all this go out and we have to eat.
mhm.
And there's no more supermarkets. We I think we're going to be running out of gas in like the next what 20, 30 years of oil or something like that.
If they, yeah, but usually I'd say once we hit a point of crisis, people tend to pull solutions out of their back pocket. I'll say, I'll just say it like that because I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. But we 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 tend
We are conveniently solutionary, right?
we will wait until the last minute. And as soon as the fire gets lit, okay, then we start running. And we can say that too. You know what? To let me bring this back a little bit for a second. We're talking about Sagittarius season, and John brought up something at this very beginning. He said Mercury is in 0 degrees. All right, let's do some little basic astrology for y'all. If y'all can look at the screen, I'm gonna show you something real quick. Mercury. If you look at the red symbol at the top of the screen, at the top of the symbol, you see a red arrow like figure. That's Sagittarius. For y'all who don't know. And if you look under the sign of Sagittarius, if you look to the right, you're going to see a little Sagittarius symbol, and right above it, a number zero. That number zero is 0 degrees. What that mean? That means that Mercury, which is the planet right here, right above it, that means that Mercury is in the sign of Sagittarius right now. What that mean, Chris? I don't know what Mercury is. Mercury rules over two signs. Gemini, I happen to be a Gemini, and Virgo. John happens to be a Virgo,
Now,
right?
let me throw a word in there. Indicate.
Mm, indicate too. Yeah,
It's an indicator.
it's an indicator. Yep.
That's all we're looking at. The indicator. Another word that goes to identify, right? Because we
And
but
oh yeah, I'm saying. And when it comes to identifying, all I'm identifying is the things around me in my actual real life. Does what is being shown on this screen concur, concur, which means to agree with what's happening in my real life?
let,
Well,
let me get the mic real quick. Let me get the mic real quick, right? Because let's take this to a collegiate way of looking at this, right? What I have on my wall is Bloom's taxonomy of critical thinking skills, right? I use the word indicate, and I related it to the word identify. Because watch this, right? With Bloom's taxonomy of critical thinking skills, there are six, right? Knowledge, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. We're just gonna stick with one. Comprehension. Comprehension is the second rung or second tier of Bloom's taxonomy of critical thinking skills, right? And there's words that go with that goes with comprehension, understanding is one of them, right? But here's some things that goes under comprehension: classifying, describing, discussing, identify. I also threw up the word up here: illustrate and express. So, what are these symbols that is representing or expressing celestial bodies in the sky that we're trying to identify and describe? That's all the symbols doing, right? It's an expression. It's an identifier, and a symbol, a picture's worth 1,000 words. A symbol's worth 1,000 pictures. So it is a identifier. We're looking at identifiers of, what's going on celestially in our environment. Make sense?
Makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to the people.
Let's see. I didn't mean to take you too much from what you were saying.
Nah, it ties in. Let me tell you, and I'll show you why. Going back to it, right? Mercury. If somebody's talking about the planet Mercury, just know Mercury is ruled by, again, Gemini and Virgo, right? Sagittarius. Besides people, and shout out to all my Sagittariuses. This is your birthday season right now. Shout out to all my Sagittariuses, right? My dad's a Sagittarius, so his birthday just came by. For all you who wanted to know that or cared, shout him out for a happy birthday too, right? But coming back to it, Sagittarius is education, it's universities, it's happiness, it's God, the beneficial Father. When we talk about God in the Bible and Him giving gifts, giving grace, giving mercy, benefits, provisions, that's Jupiter. That's Sagittarius, right? So what's happening right now? I'm a Gemini, right? And guess what? Let me tell you about it. I'm a Gemini, right? So I see the sign of Mercury there. Okay. He's a Virgo. That sign of Mercury is right there. Okay. That counts. That's applying to us right now. Sagittarius. Aren't we teaching you guys right now about some higher level thinking? Aren't we going through it right now about teaching about astrology, the highest level thinking you could do, about the Bible too?
Giving some comprehension
skills. And that's just looking at one tiny little thing on this chart. That's looking at one tiny little thing. You see all these different planets. The chart, like John was saying, these are symbols. Symbols can give expressions of your life. Let me say it in a layman's way. This chart is a story. Every single birthday, to make it even simpler. If you're going to talk about your sign, that means you're talking about your birthday. Everybody knows that. Your birthday tells a story, writes a story that can't be copied by anybody else's chart. If even one of these symbols is half a degree off, that is a completely different story being told. That's how this is what I'm saying. This is how unique you are as a person. Because even if somebody is born on the same day as you, they're not born at the same place as you.
And they're born in the same place. There's no guarantee that y'all born 2 hours different from each other.
Two people can't even be born in the same spot. If you're twins, one come out and then the other one come out, but you both can't be born the exact same time. I don't care if you're Siamese twins and there's two heads on one body. One head came out first, then the other head came out second. This and how you talk about the chart is what makes you unique as a person. This is your unique design of how God created you. That's the specialty part of it, to make you feel, a little bit happy about yourself. Oh, I'm unique. I got something about me nobody else can say.
Argue that though. People argue that because they say that it's I can't even.
I'll go into it because I can argue against it because every chart is because why I say you unique. Why I say you unique. If I were to show somebody this chart right now and I took away the birthday, you couldn't see the birthday part in the corner, and I showed somebody this chart. Guess what? They wouldn't know if you're talking about a person, a building, a animal, a idea. This chart can apply to anything in reality. It can apply to anything in reality, but it will always and only describe what it's actually showing. This chart will always and only describe Mercury in Sagittarius. Even though Mercury can be in Sagittarius, um, let me not say that. Let me say this. Even though Mercury can be in Sagittarius theoretically anytime, for Mercury to be in Sagittarius at this specific point in time, and the Sun be at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, and Mars being at 28 degrees of Sagittarius, this very specific configuration, that's the word, configuration, this specific configuration is specific to whatever it's describing, a person, a place, a thing, is specific to it. But can this configuration be reconfigured in a way to be very similar to something else? Of course. There's only a limited amount of symbols. There's only like what 14 symbols, main symbols: Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, um ascended, descended. Yeah, there's 20 coli, mid-heaven. There's only this because you think
the node,
Chiron, the nodes. Let's see what else. And if you want to use Lilith and all those extra planets, be careful with those. If y'all don't know, not every planet, I mean, not every asteroid will tell you what you think it does. You got to be very careful with the ones that you use and make sure there's a lot of research backing it, so you actually know what you're talking about. But that's why I when people tell me, when people try to debate, uh, you know, the uniqueness of somebody's chart and things like that. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but in reality, no two things will ever occupy the same space in space time. No two objects can be infused in one at one point. Therefore, every chart is going to be different.
No two stories ever the same. They have some running themes, but
yeah, they're similar. Everything because everything comes from one source, but everything is unique related to that one source. I'll say it that way. But that was a side tangent. That was off in a rant. Let me tune this back a bit, right? For all you Sagittarius out there, let me do this real quick. For all you Sagittarius out there, what you're gonna see this month, right? Or what you've been seeing, what you're gonna see for the rest of this month, and I'll let John chime in a little bit if you want on it. We already 20 degrees of Sagittarius. That
I'm
means
gonna let you cook real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, we're already 20 degrees of Sagittarius, right? We only got about 10 degrees left. That's equivalent of about 10 days. So in this time, you're going to see you got Mercury, Venus, the Sun going to be in Sagittarius. Also, Venus going to be in Sagittarius. The Sun in Sagittarius is, because it's your star sign. The Moon in Sagittarius coming up in about a week or so, around the end of Sagittarius season. The Moon in Sagittarius means overflow of emotion. Be careful with your emotions and expressing your emotions. It can mean a lot of happiness for women in your life, a lot of comfort, a lot of emotional stability, feeling very safe even, or it can be an overflow of, or it can be traveling to go see a female family, traveling to go see family too. If you haven't been traveling, you're gonna do some traveling, or you may have traveled to go see a family member, something like that. Going over. The outer planets are still in Pisces. We still have some retrogrades going on. Jupiter's in retrograde currently in Cancer. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So Jupiter in Cancer, that is in your eighth house. So Jupiter in your eighth house, Sagittarius, that could be opportunity for it could be actually it could be a lot of things. Opportunity for change. It could be taxes too. You may be spending a lot more money on taxes, joint taxes if you have a partner, joint finances, spending a lot of money or more opportunities come there with joint finances, right? Don't try to be overly hateful during this period of time to control your impulses, but just look for advantages during this period of time. Coming back down towards Neptune and Saturn. Neptune and Saturn are in Pisces right now. That's going to be in your fourth house. So probably you may have difficulties at home. So maybe you've been feeling very depressed when it comes to family, or family members being very depressed. You felt you've been dealing with this, or yeah, difficulties, hardships at home. Maybe it's been very cold at home because it's the winter season as well. These are some things that Sagittarius have been facing or going to be facing for the rest of the Sagittarius season coming through. Let's see what else. Hmm. Oh, you have Neptune. No, you have Uranus in your sixth house. That means work, maybe spontaneous, sudden, unexpected things happening at work. Maybe you making a lot more friends at work during this period of time. Things that'll be happening to you, Sagittarius. But that was a Sagittarius breakdown. We're gonna wait for John to come back. But in the meantime, I'm gonna just keep talking. Keep y'all up to date. All right. Another way to look at astrology. I'll say this about astrology. Oh, John's back. John, you want to chime in on anything?
Keep going. Keep going.
All right. Another way you could look at astrology too. So this is something I learned because if y'all don't know, I've studied from the School of Cosmophysics. It's a combination of Western astrology and Vedic Jyotish astrology, or Eastern astrology, as some people might want to call it, even though that's not technically accurate. And thing about astrology helps you realize too is time is time is seriously relative. And what I mean by that is this: once you learn something called a progression, that is looking at the chart and looking at one day in the chart and make it equate to another period of time in your life. What that mean? Something called a P2. If I look at the first year of your life, let's say you were born in the year 1995. If I look at the first year of your life, 1996, right? If I look at the first year of your life, 1996, I could look at that first year of your life in 1996 and tell you how the 10th year of your life is going to be. I could tell you what's going to happen at 10 years old, for example. Let me make it simpler, right? If you were to look at your birthday, let's say your birthday is today, December 19th. Oh, wait, why did church say December 19th? Oh, yeah, because I moved it forward. That's my bad. But let's see. Let's use this example. Let's say your birthday, December 19th, 1995. If I were to move your chart 5 days forward, so December 20, 21, 22, 23, 24th, if I were to look at December 24th, 5 days after your birthday, I could tell you how the fifth year of your life is going to be. I could tell you.
Hey, Chris, why? How is that possible?
Because time is a reflection of itself. And what does that mean? That means the way, that means I could look 50 days in the future and I could tell you something that's going to happen on your 50th year of your life. Or,
So we're looking at refractions.
yep.
Let me see if I'm using that word correctly. Hey, Google, come here. Okay. Oh, refraction, the fact or phenomena of light radio waves, etc., being deflected and passing obliquely through the interface between one medium and another or through a medium of varying density. Change in direction of propagation of any waves as a result of it traveling at different speeds at different points along the wavefront. Measuring the focusing characteristics of an eye or eyes. Huh.
And the way that you measure things with your eyes, right? People look at time linearly, like it's just going in a straight line. If you look at it in reality, right, what happens in the future affects what happens now, and what happens in the past is going to affect the future, and even vice versa.
Let me give one more definition, right? Refraction is the bending of light, sound, or waves as it passes from one material or medium to another. Correct me if I'm wrong. This measurement tool that we're using is a medium, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Um, or like from air to water because it changes speed.
And you can see another one of the things you said in your definition that really hit home is waves. Waves. If you think about life, if you think about time, kind of moves in waves. You got your ups, you got your downs, and it kind of moves like that, right?
Like a
Moves like
carousel.
that. Well, here's something interesting that I didn't know at first. Here's some advanced astrology. My teacher, Raku, once said he read somebody's chart, but this is what he did. He read 50 days before that person was born, and somehow the chart that he read 50 days before he was born was able to tell that man's 50th year of his age. Was able. So how does that make sense? How am I able to read a chart that happens before I'm even born, and it's able to affect my life in the future on my 50th year? Let me tell you this. I'm not the creator. Can I specifically explain why that works? I'm not going to go there. But I can tell you what that proves, because I've seen it before in books. I've read before in books that people have done experiments where they did something in the future and it affected results in the past. And I'm just like, at first, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. How are you doing something in the future that is affecting results in the past? If you go back to Einstein's theory of relativity, time is relative. Depending on how fast or slow you're going, time will move differently for you. We already know and can tell that time isn't a fixed point, and you can do something. It's actually possible. This proves that your actions right here, right now, not only affects your future, it actually affects the past.
Your
It's the
teacher lied to y'all when he said we all got into a line to go to the next class or go to lunch. We're all going to the same place. If you last in line, you try and get a muffin. This is 12. It's 12 muffins and the 16th kids. They got a
it's
they got 75. Let's see. You can change time. There is no time or space really. I would disagree.
I would, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say there is no time or there is no space.
Well, I'll say it like this: time.
I
Yeah,
agree with that. I
I
agree
agree.
with that.
What I'm saying is time is a gauge, right? In that it varies in speed for people in different octaves of time. Let's look at the time the sun go down right now versus what time it went down 6 months ago. Time is a construct, is a measurement. It's time is an observation of celestial bodies moving, at a given time or rate of speed. So we're measuring light. Light might be the only real thing around this jump. Light and sound. That's
And
my bad.
no, I'm bouncing off that. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm bouncing off that. Light that Pay attention to that. Light, speed, sound. These are all things. Think about it. Think about sound. If you think about sound, sound isn't, you can't say how long was this sound. What you mean? If I make a sound, it needs time to travel in the air and travel about. Let me say it this way: how we see reality, we know isn't how reality is. We're not solid people. We're made out of atoms, and those atoms have spaces in between those atoms, which has spaces in between those atoms. We really, everything we're seeing is theoretically. I'm not saying it is. Technically, everything we're seeing is an illusion. We're
We
just
exist in theory.
we exist in the way how we perceive ourselves isn't actually how we're made up. We're actually a bunch of particles who are that are let me say this way: we are a bunch of particles that are formed in a specific way that has been designed to be the things that it has to be. So what am I getting with that? What am I saying with that? Don't look at time like a circle. That's better. Look at time like the wheel. You see the wheel on the screen? Time is like a circle. It flows into this self. This is how we get patterns. Let me break it down this way. The same thing won't happen again. You can't have lightning won't strike the same place twice, but lightning will strike again. Let me make sure that you caught what I said. Lightning won't strike the same place twice, but we know lightning will strike again.
Let me follow up with that. And that's why astrology isn't a science. Astrology isn't a science because it's things that we measure, you can't replicate it. That's what science is supposed to do. You're supposed to be able to falsify and replicate things. That's the only reason why it's not a science. It's scientific. It's measuring things, measuring phenomena, right? But the only reason why it's not a science is because you can't replicate thunder or a lightning strike, right? You could measure the pattern of it, but you can't replicate that. Try to redo a birth.
Mm-hmm.
Replicate a birth.
No, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. That's where the uniqueness of everybody comes in. No two things are exactly alike, but everything was created in this grand design. No two things are alike. That is the beauty of this universe. That's the beauty of life. No two things are alike, but we're all created by the same source and thing. And it works like a wheel. It works like a wheel. Modern science will probably tell you that there's the heat death of the universe and everything ends there. Astrology, if you really look at it, if you really look at masonry and astrology and the stars and how the universe works, it kind of tells you something different. It kind of tells you something. It doesn't tell you that it ends. It kind of tells you that it just keeps going. There's a concept called as above, so below. Masons know about this too. As above, so below. It's rather you're down here or you're up there.
As
And
above,
that's
so below. Isn't that the
and
bottom?
and we get in there. People want to go there and say that's evil. It's in your Bible. It's in your Bibles. And it's not directly. Have you ever heard the term on heaven as it is on earth? Doesn't
Oh,
that kind of
sounds
sound
about
like isn't that isn't that kind of sound like as above, so below? You're only two places. Let's just keep it clear for everybody who wants to know. No matter how far back in history you want to go, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Talmud, the ancient emerald text, there's only two depictions. It's rather you're down here or you're up there. That's about it. There's no concept of it just ending. There's no concept of the universe just ending. That's kind of a new thing if you really think about it. The idea of the heat death of the universe and everything just ending, that's kind of a new thing because when the universe began there was nothing before it. It kind of just started. It kind of, it's not even like it started, kind of like it's always been here, if you get what I mean. it's kind of like the universe has always been here and it kind of just cycles and cycles and cycles. It's time, this time is a little bit different from last time, but it cycles and it cycles and it cycles. That's the foreverness of God. When you're talking about God and you're talking about his foreverness, that's kind of how it works.
There was never a time when man was not.
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. That's what most people want to come to see. Now, if you even, I could ask John to do this right now and he'll be able to prove it. If you would ask ChatGPT how many years does say humanity has about left, you probably get about 100, maybe 150, maybe. You could
How
ask it
many
right
years
now.
humanity have left? Short answer, there's no credible scientific estimate that humanity is running out of years. Long answer, how long humanity lasts depends on how far, no, depend far more on choices than fixed limits.
You see? So even ChatGPT doesn't know. I've heard people on TikTok be like, they ask ChatGPT and they say like 200 years at most. And I'm like, oh, that don't sound right. That don't sound right to me. Because last time I checked, this wheel has always been spinning. As above, so below. As on earth as it is in heaven. What was another one? There's another one. In the beginning, God created what? The heavens and the what? The earth. So when you look into astrology, when you look at your life, right? When you look at your life, right? You will come here to do what the universe has ordained you to do, but you have also agreed to do. It's not like you have no agency here. Remember, you are unique. After you gone, there's not going to be another you again.
Let's throw this in here though, because it made me think. Because everybody talk about the universe and everybody worshiping the universe, and the universe is a middleman.
Yeah.
The universe is a middleman. You're like, hey, worshiping no universe. The universe is a middleman between us and the divine creator. Like I had an epiphany just now when you said that. When you said the universe ordains. No, the universe is kind of like the in between. It's like the computer interface. It's that medium between. It's a that line between us, while in midst and embedded in within the universe is the interface between divinity and us.
Because y'all got to understand too, when it comes towards us, nothing. If you heard an astrologer say this, they lied to you. If an astrologer said, I can predict the future, they lied to you. You can't predict what I mean by this. Let me say it. I can't tell you with 100% certainty something is going to happen to you. If an astrologer has ever promised you something with 100% certainty, that's how they lied to you. You can't do that. No one has the power to know everything. No one.
Everything.
You can't. No one has the power to literally know everything. Your one body just can't do that. It just can't do that. We weren't built to know everything. So it's better to say everything is happening at the same time.
At the same time.
Though
Shelter.
God is God moving, you moving, your mama moving, the world moving, we all moving at the same damn time.
At the same time.
If you see Mars in Scorpio, that means at the same time Mars and Scorpio is going down, Mars and Scorpio type things are happening. If you see a Sun in Sagittarius person going down, that means Sun in Sagittarius things are just going down at the same time. That's all that means. You can't prove that is you cannot technically prove it's all been preordained, and you can't technically prove that it's all 100% free will. It's happening. It's yes and no. If y'all have heard of superposition, the new term superpositioning, things being yes and no at the same time, it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit yes and a little bit no. It's a little bit here and a little bit there. It's in between, like John said. The universe is the in between, man, and we are the pieces around that in between. It's like left wing and right wing when it comes to like political sides.
Yeah, if universe, I'm like, maybe. It depends. Show what you got. See, immediately because universe don't got the last say anything. You just kind of like I don't know this. We'll see what happens.
And knowing that, that's how we get it's. But again, it's not all on your own. I'm not trying to make it sound like the universe don't have your back, and I'm not trying to make it sound like God don't have your back. I'm not going to try to make it sound like that. I'm trying to make it sound as if you have control over this experience you have right here, right now,
More than you
and
think.
more than you think. And if you know what's coming up in this experience that you live in, whether it be good, remember, it's a wave. It's a wave. You just got to know where in the wave you at. You just got to know, are you in a downtrend or are you in an uptrend? Are you going down the roller coaster and you have to, get ready for some hard times? Or you coming out of those hard times and you about to start soaring and doing well? You just got to know where you at in the wave. The more you know, here's the rule of thumb. Wait, let me read this person's comment before I go on. Let's see what they say. Occasionally, I've seen very specific things that happen to people predicted in their birth chart. When I go back and look at it, you can see, and that's now. Let me explain that too, right? Because that's a very good point. That's a very good point, and John could talk on this too if he wants, right? When it comes towards predicting, and what we say predicting, that's what I'm saying. There's an edge. At the very beginning of this, I was talking about you can have a chip on your shoulder, right? If you can tell, hey, X, Y, and Z happened before, it's probably gonna happen again. That's where you get that chip on your shoulder.
Mm.
Doesn't mean it will happen again. No.
It's subjective to happen, and it could be things that look like and relate to something. Um, Getting a paper cut on my finger could be different from burning my forearm.
Mm. But guess what? The same symbol points to both of those things.
Mm.
Remember what John said earlier. A picture is worth 1,000 words. A thousand pictures is worth a symbol. A,
Getting getting hit in the head with an apple, and then also I don't know. Um,
for, okay, let me say it like this. Because hitting the head with let me go after that.
trying to cook. Yeah,
You're
throw
trying
some.
to cook.
Throw some in the.
When it comes towards astrology, let's say it this way. When it comes towards just knowing anything in astrology, the problem isn't that people know too much. The problem is people don't know enough.
And then think they do.
Yes. Let me just have them say that again. People think they know enough. You will never know enough. This is why there's so many problems. I'm not. Let me not get in a tangent. Let me not get in a tangent right now. Let me stay on topic. Right? You mo- there are so many things that just one symbol can point to. You're not going to catch all of them. That's what I'm saying. It's impossible for you to know exactly what's going to come next. You don't know if Mars is going to point towards somebody being angry, or you don't know if that is going to point towards somebody getting into a fight that day, or you don't know if Mars is going to mean somebody burned their hand, burned their forearm, like John said. All of those things points towards Mars.
Or if they find the infection.
Yes, if they're fighting an infection too, yeah. There are hundreds of thousands of keywords for just Mars alone. Now you have to learn it for Jupiter. Now you have to learn it for Saturn. Now you have to learn it for Mercury. Now you have to learn it for Venus. It becomes a little bit too much to handle, right? That's the nature of astrology. That's the beast of astrology. You're trying to learn. When you're saying you're trying to learn astrology, you're really saying I want to learn everything and anything. And when you say it like that, it's like, okay, let's break it down. What specifically do you want to learn about? What specifically do you want to do with this astrology? Because if you want to just read people, we can teach you that. If you want to use it to take over the world, there's a little bit more steps you got to go through. There's a little bit more hoops you got to jump through to get that result. you were talking about roller coaster up and down when I commented. In case I interrupted. No. Yeah, I finished that. It's about the best thing I recommend when I talk. Why do I bring up the roller coaster? Because what I want people to do, right? What I want people to do is take this information and gain an advantage from it. Gain some knowledge that is going to help you personally in your life. Um, and I know we're talking about it, and we're not really showing you what to do. What do you guys should do if you want to get into astrology? Let me just say this real quick. If anybody wants to get into astrology, John, I'm gonna have John list out 2 3 books that he would recommend that people start off with. If you want to get into astrology, if you just want to get an idea of what this is about.
Find a teacher.
Okay, and you can find a teacher too.
Find a teacher.
That's what I did, but I didn't
find a bona fide teacher. You don't want to run into someone who is one of the people who act like they know what they're talking about, and then they show you that they think they know what they're talking about, and they don't know, and they teach you. And now you're on bullshit because your master teacher is not a master.
And that's the hard part, because that's the hard part. In this modern day, astrology is not as official as it once was. Like John was talking back.
This has always been the case, though. This has always been the case, especially when people find out that they can make some type of reward or gain from it. It was a race. I got that from the book The Nature of Astrology by Bruce Schofield, which I recommend and get because this right here is very scholarly. Our ancient ancestors recorded the rhythms of the sun, moon, planets, and stars correlated with the rhythms of weather, plant growth, animal, and human behaviors. From these early geocosmic recordings were born calendars, astronomy, and astrology. While astrology is now mostly viewed as subjective fortune telling, Bruce Schofield argues that astrology is not only a practice but also a science, specifically a form of systems science, a set of techniques of mapping and analyzing self-organizing systems. So, I could go on and on and on, but this is a book I recommend. Right,
I'm gonna put it in chat for y'all. Nature of Astrology.
I thought that was Baxter. That was God.
Yeah,
that was God.
But let me see. Boom. And they'll have you making avoidable mistakes. Yeah, they will. These fake gurus, and it's like that's the hard part, because it's especially when you first start out in astrology, right? When you first start out in astrology, you just want to find out as much as you can. You don't know who. You just listening to people. You just listening to your favorite astrologer. Maybe they do tarot
personality to make you feel good.
Favorite personality. Maybe they do tarot on the side, divinic arts on the side too. Maybe they don't just do astrology, they do other things too, right? It depends on how. Let me say it this way: not everybody's going to get to the same level of astrology. Not everybody gets to the same level of playing basketball. Not everybody becomes the same level of lawyer or doctor. It's a profession. This is a lifelong thing you got to do like a job if you really want to get into it. But the thing about astrology is this: go as far as you personally need to. Remember what I said.
Art.
It's an art. It's an art. It's a medium. It's a form of expression. Use astrology for whatever you need to use it for. Remember, astrology, saying you want to learn astrology, saying you want to learn everything.
Let me finish my review real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Astrological keywords. Manny P. Hall.
Astrology. I spelled that right. Yes. Keywords.
Do I have any other book? Not right now. I don't.
If you're gonna find a teacher, things you want to be aware of, right? When they're talking, do they talk as if they know everything? Are they using words like "this will happen"? This is what the chart reads. This is that. If they're talking in absolutes, don't listen to that astrologer.
Man, your astrologer should have a little bit of reasonable skepticism.
if they come off super confident and they're not like, if they just come off talking and they can't show you anything, if they bare minimum can't even pull up a chart like I'm doing for you right now, if they can't even pull up a chart and they're just talking, that's probably not gonna be a good source for you to go to. I could recommend a guy here, Ra here, a hard teacher, Ra KH
I'll be right back. Shout out to him.
Insta. Yeah. Insta. Yeah. Search up that person's Instagram if you want a teacher. That teacher is expensive. I'm not gonna lie to you, but that would be probably the best astrology teacher I know, hands down. But it's gonna be expensive if you want to actually get into the class. That's what I'm saying. This is a profession. For most people, you don't even want to get this far, and you don't necessarily have to. Having a good astrologer, that astrologer I put in the Instagram, maybe you know that astrologer, maybe you don't. He does readings too. The readings are a lot cheaper than the class. It's still expensive, but if you the readings are a lot cheaper than the class. But what I recommend, have a good astrologer on standby. Have somebody that if you're hesitant, a little bit hesitant, life going down, you got a test coming up, pregnancy scare, um I don't the dying family member, what the case may be, and you want to know what's going to happen, right? And you want an idea of what's going to happen. We can give you an idea. Again, that doesn't mean it's finalized. There have been people have made readings about things happening and they've come true, and then life still goes on the same way. What do I mean by that? Me personally, I've done a reading before on somebody who said, "Oh, they tried to unalive themselves." I saw it in their chart that they did the unaliving, and they survived, So it can be shown in your chart something like an unaliving can happen, and you can still survive after the fact. So
It's an attempt.
yeah, but in the moment, I can't tell if that attempt is final or if that's just an attempt. That's what I'm saying. You can never see 100% accurately with astrology. The creator didn't put it in your ability to do that. But what you do know, now you can be like, okay, now I can get what I want out of it. Enemy coming out of the word during witchcraft. Oh, and you want to be very, very careful with people practicing witchcraft, with people doing voodoo spells, things like that. Um, let me say I don't believe it. Let me be very, very careful. I'll say it this way: spirituality, right, is heavily tied into astrology. It's heavily tied into medicine. It's heavily tied into belief systems, right? Use it. Use spirituality based things with caution. With caution, right? Make sure you're using extreme precaution, that you know what you're doing, right? Make sure that you're not going to hurt yourself, you're not going to hurt anyone else, and that you can actually do the thing that you got to do, but you got to have a level of skill to be able to do any. Yeah, John, you can speak. I didn't see your hand. My bad.
Get a teacher.
Get a teacher too. Get a
Get a
teacher
teacher.
too.
Like you don't just hop in the car, have someone give you the keys for the first time, and just go riding around. Like that's not it's not wise. You need a not necessarily like a proctor or something, but you need to get under some tutelage, some apprenticeship and stuff like that, because knowledge can't hurt you.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power, and power protects itself. And you don't want to put yourself in a position where, oh my God, now I'm in this situation. I don't know what to do with it. Not a good idea. Well, I don't recommend it whatsoever. Not cool when a questionable witch knows your chart, but you don't know theirs. Yeah,
And
that's
I've
you don't just put your social security card on a shirt and wear it outside.
You want to, and this is a big thing about astrology. This is another. Let me say this too, right? When it comes to that, you want to keep your life as private as you possibly can in every way, shape, or form. But if somebody wants to look hard enough, they can find you, right? Let me give you an example, right? For me personally, if somebody just showed me this, and John could do this too. If somebody just showed us this wheel, no birthday attached, we could tell you a lot about this person. Just but we could probably reverse engineer it and tell you what day it's supposed to be. We have enough skill that we can look at certain planets and be like, oh, it's here, which means it has to be between this time and this time to do X, Y, and Z things. Why do I say that? You can't hide your information from it. You can't become completely anonymous from people. You can't become completely anonymous. You can make it harder to find yourself, right? You can make it harder to find yourself. But when it comes to your birth chart, you got to understand this too. It doesn't matter. Theoretically, it doesn't matter who has your birth chart because nobody can block your blessings and nobody can get in the way. If something is written to happen in your birth chart, right? More likely than not, something related to that, a pattern related to that is going to happen. Me having your birth chart is not going to be, it's not going to be me able to be like, oh, I'm gonna run in and stop you from having your Mars. You running in and stopping them might be the Mars happening in itself. You could be the Mars that's happening to that person. So it's when that's why it's kind of it's a gray area if somebody has your birth chart because they can't it's not like they can't do anything. It's not like they can't. I'm not gonna say they can't do anything, but I'm not gonna say, just because somebody has your birth chart, it's completely over. No, they can't. If something bad is happening in your birth chart, they can't be the one who caused it. They could attribute to it. They can't be the one who caused it. And if something good's happening in your birth chart, they can't take that from you either. If you have some money coming your way or you have a family visit and it's gonna be a happy day, nobody can stop that from happening to you. Good term. What's it say? Oh, my breath beating good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Good reverse engineer. You can. Yeah. 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 If you know the chart well enough, if you go to that teacher, I put in the answer. If you because you personally, if you personally want to know astrology to that level, you probably want to go to that teacher that I put in the chat, the Instagram. Get a reading first. Get a free reading first, and then see what you want to do from there.
Tell him we sent you
Yeah, tell him Chris and John sent you.
and that they're working.
make sure you say that was working.
Yeah, that's the only. Yeah, yeah. But
Any
um,
any anything else you want to talk on?
nah. I think we could come back another day and time. They look like the other. We operate on chaos a little bit over here. You might not see us for a while, but
Hmm.
we around.
Yeah, we
Um,
around. We
my
we we come in time to time, but yeah, let me let you finish.
my time has changed. I'm going through different changes in my life right now, where I may have more time at another point to do this more frequently. We're adults. We're grown ass men. We got things we're trying to do and grow and things like that. So we ain't getting paid for this. So with the labor of love and shared interest in our research and things like that. So when we probably could get a little bit more coordinated, and when the ink dries up a little bit, we might be able to do this a lot more. So, oh, last book I want to give Culpepper's Complete Astrology. Introduction by Judith Hill, forwarded by Ada Sparky Cat. That's kind of what it looked like. There you go. See, boom.
Culper's complete astrology.
Culpepper.
Culpepper.
Yeah, this is important because this falls along with what they put in the Papa Bulls, right? Navigation, agriculture, and medical, whatever. So, um, Yeah. Man, look, I'm out of energy. I know I was drinking a Red Bull, but I'm out of energy. Um, I think that we gave a lot. Um, yeah, that's what I have. What about you?
I had a good talk. We haven't done this in a little while. It was awesome to come back and have y'all here today. Thank you, Featherlight 3, for coming on and giving us something to talk about too. Hey, you're Sagittarius. Hey, happy Sagittarius season to you, right?
See,
I,
this is
I hope, I hope you and everybody else here have a good day. When we come back, I don't know when, but we will be back. We always come back like we said we do. We always come back.
and please share this. Tell a friend and tell a friend and show a friend to tell a friend. If they want to argue or they want to, if Chris up to it, come up here and refute or whatever, and we could,
We
have a
would
conversation.
we would love to have a debate. We would love to have a debate with anybody y'all want to have. Y'all want to have here? I could send the link. Have y'all come up, but let's not. Let's not. Let me not put too much hope in y'all guys' pocket. We don't know when the next time this is gonna be, but you know, this is gonna we gonna be back. But this has been Chris is here.
It's John.
We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.